24 hours
on West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM Dakar.
WADR, promoting dialogue.
It's midday here in Dakar and 1 p.m. in Abuja. Good afternoon and welcome to Newslink live on West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM Dakar. First, our top stories. Nigeria's opposition coalition ADC leads Save Democracy protest at Electoral Commission headquarters. The Gambia suspend non-statutory travel by public officials amid economic pressure. Niger and Morocco prepare for the fifth session of their Joint Cooperation Commission.
The legal framework that binds our two countries is already rich, comprehensive and structuring.
And Guinea-Bissau transport drivers strike over fuel price hikes. Please stay with us for details of these stories and more.
On the news, this is a more edit.
Many thanks for joining our broadcast. We'll begin in Nigeria, where prominent opposition figures have taken to the streets of Abuja in a Save Nigeria Democracy protest led by the African Democratic Congress, ADC. Among those present are former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, Labour Party's Peter Obi, and former governors Rotimi Amechi, Rabiu Kwankwaso, and Rauf Aregbesola. The protest, which began at Maitama roundabout and moved to the headquarters of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), comes amid controversy over INEC's decision to remove the names of David Mark and Aregbesola from the ADC leadership list, citing a court order. Protesters are accusing the electoral body of siding with the ruling All Progressives Congress (APC) to weaken opposition forces and undermine Nigeria's democracy. Barrister Maurice Ebam, the former executive of the ADC, speaks with WDL from the protest ground.
So we are currently at INEC office headquarters in Maitama, and we are here protesting recent involvement of INEC into the ADC activities. In fact, we see it as the hand of a monkey, because INEC has become a support group of APC all of a sudden. Knowing that this INEC chairman, who happens to be Senior Vicar of Nigeria, rumors have it that he has also been in the legal council of the APC during 2023 election. So we sent a lot of biasness here and there, and that is why we are now on the street now to protest, because we know that this is the work of APC and Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government trying to manipulate the affairs of ADC. So before the coalition came to ADC, I must tell you the truth, ADC was not really a very, very popular party, but with the coming of the coalition, it became very, very popular. And after the coming together of coalition leaders, we see that APC and Bola Ahmed Tinubu is actually scared of the impact of ADC.
Barrister Maurice Ebam is a former executive of the opposition coalition African Democratic Congress in Nigeria. Elsewhere, the Gambia's president, Adama Barrow, has with immediate effect suspended all non-statutory official travel by public officials. A statement from the State House says President Barrow ordered the directive as global tensions continue to strain supply chains and increase pressure on the country's finances. The statement clarifies that only essential and fully justified travel will be permitted, subject to review and presidential approval. The government has also directed immigration authorities to block any public official from leaving the country without proper authorization. Authorities warn that violations of the directive will lead to disciplinary action. The measures take effect immediately and remain in place until further notice. Meanwhile, commercial drivers in the Gambia are voicing concern over a sharp rise in diesel prices from $84 to $95 per litre. They warn that the increase could have serious consequences for their livelihoods and the wider economy. With transport services heavily reliant on diesel, many drivers say shrinking profit margins may force them to raise fares. WDL Sang Donament in Banjul explains the details in this report.
Commercial drivers in the country say the recent increase in diesel prices is placing significant pressure on their daily operations. They warn that the increase from $84 to $95 per liter is already eating into their earnings, making it increasingly difficult to sustain their businesses. Many say adjusting transport fares has become unavoidable as they struggle to cope with the hike in fuel prices. Abdul Jallo, a driver, says the situation is becoming unbearable for them.
If we continue charging the normal fares, we will only earn enough to buy fuel, leaving nothing to support our families. That is why things are difficult for us.
Meanwhile, commuters are also feeling the impact of the fuel price hike. Omar Jah, who relies on public transport, says he has no option but to comply with the fare increases imposed by drivers.
Fuel is increased. They will ask us to increase fares. Of course, $5 is too much. Everyone knows the nature of their job. You should know how to manage it.
Lamin Diba, an economist, also shares his perspective on the recent surge in oil prices.
If the government could have a strategy to stabilize the supply of oil, I think demand will also stabilize in a way and prices will stabilize.
However, the government, through the Ministry of Petroleum, Energy and Mines, has defended the price increase. Authorities say subsidy of more than $316 million, which is equivalent to $4.7 million, has been introduced to cushion the impact of global oil price shocks. As both drivers and passengers navigate the situation, calls are growing for better coordination and communication to ensure stability in transport fares while protecting livelihoods and maintaining affordability. For Newslink on East Africa Democracy Radio, Sangdana Mendy, reporting from Banjul.
Similarly, in Guinea-Bissau, transport drivers are on strike against rising fuel prices linked to the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. The strike, which started on Tuesday in several areas, including Bissau and Gabon, is disrupting public transport, leaving many passengers with no choice to walk. The protest comes after the government increased fuel prices while prohibiting any rise in passenger fares. Usman Mara completes the story.
In the key eastern city of Gabu and the town of Mansour, taxi and van drivers have ceased operations, leaving many passengers with no choice but to travel on foot. The drivers' union leader, Karam Gassama, announced that the strikes in the capital will soon extend to taxis. He argues that the price adjustments, which have significantly increased gasoline and diesel costs, were implemented without allowing for fare hikes. African governments have imposed sharp fuel price increases as the war in Iran drives global oil prices higher, threatening to spark inflation across the continent. Last week, Guinea-Bissau's transitional government raised the price of diesel from 700 CFA francs to 898 CFA francs per litre and increased the price of gasoline from 794 CFA francs to 899 CFA francs per litre. The military government has also prohibited increases in passenger fares. For the past 2 weeks, petrol stations have faced shortages throughout much of this economically challenged West African country, which, like many in the region, is dependent on petroleum imports. Aggrieved drivers claim that the silence from the government, led by Major General Hota Intar, heightens tensions in a nation still reeling from the November 2025 military coup. Currently, the authorities in Bissau have yet to respond to the ongoing strike.
Usman Umar filed that report.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Now to bilateral developments. Niger and Morocco are preparing the 5th session of their Joint Cooperation Commission. A delegation from the Kingdom of Morocco was received in Niamey earlier this week as part of the build-up to the meeting. The development comes just 2 weeks after the second Niger-Algeria Joint Commission. Sanklu Danko gives us the details in this report.
Experts from both countries met in Niamey to lay the groundwork for stronger cooperation. For Niger and Morocco, the goal is to consolidate existing achievements in sectors such as agriculture, education, security, the economy and social infrastructure. Abdellah Boutagard is Director of African Affairs and head of the Moroccan delegation.
The legal framework that binds our two countries is already rich, comprehensive and structuring Morocco's rapidly expanding economic presence in Niger, testifies to the mutual trust and potential of our cooperation. Together, we are working to further broaden this cooperation and partnership.
For their part, the Nigerian authorities intend to inject new momentum into their relationship with the Kingdom of Morocco. Niamey says it wants to transform political alliances into concrete realities for socio-economic development and well-being of its people. As a reminder, a few weeks ago, Niamey hosted the second Niger-Algeria Joint Commission. This session, co-chaired by Prime Minister Ali Mohamed Lamine Zain and Sifi Greb, resulted in the signing of several new agreements between the two neighbors. Furthermore, commitments were made particularly in the energy sector with the Trans-Saharan Gas Pipeline project and the launch of construction on a 40-megawatt power plant in Gorubanda.
Our Niamey correspondent Yakuba Abibulai's report there and presented by Sankule Janko. Now to matters of trade and commerce, Cote d'Ivoire has scrapped custom visas previously used to facilitate trade with neighboring Burkina Faso and Mali. The government ended the measure on March 31, 2026 in a move aimed at easing cross-border commerce. Officials say the reform marks a significant shift in trade relations among the three countries, which have long been slowed by burdensome administrative procedures. Chris Fatisho completes the story.
Until now, customs brokers were required to have their goods declarations stamped by the Burkinabe and Malian embassies in Abidjan. This essential administrative step, established on April 28, 2000, aimed to ensure the monitoring of operations and the reliability of trade statistics. However, in practice, this requirement was often perceived as a source of delays and red tape. Now, this procurement is a thing of the past. The focus is on digitization. Ivorian customs authorities are now relying on interconnected systems to ensure the smooth and secured flow of goods in transit. According to the Director General of Customs, Alphonse Pierre Dar, these tools enable the continuous, transparent, and secure transmission of data relating to goods, thus reducing delays and risks associated with transit operations. Beyond administrative simplifications, this reform has major economic implications. Burkina Faso and Mali are among Côte d'Ivoire's main trading partners within the West African Economic and Monetary Union. Together, they account for nearly 44.8% of trade flows in the region. In a regional context marked by political tensions, this decision appears as a strong signal, particularly the primacy of economic interest and commitment to preserving robust trade relations.
Chris Fatisho with that report found by Marcel Ariston Blair in Abidjan. Here in Senegal, the Minister of Communications has published a report on the management of the Press Support and Development Fund. The funding, estimated at nearly 2 billion CFA francs, had been highly anticipated by media outlets across the country. According to the document released on Tuesday, 164 outlets benefited from the financial support, although some organizations were notably left out. Abdullah Hassan tells us more.
The report published by the Senegalese Ministry of Communication indicates that over 1.8 billion CFA francs were allocated. The amount was distributed to 164 beneficiaries, including 127 community radio stations, 4 commercial radio stations, 7 print, 5 television stations, and 21 online media outlets. Habibou Dia, Director of Communication, discusses the criteria for allocating funds from the Press Support and Development Fund.
In the online application form, media outlets had the option to submit multiple applications depending on the type and nature of the organization. Television, radio, web TV, print media, provided that the legal entity owning it is distinct in terms of editorial staff, it is up to date with its tax obligations, or is up to date with its social security contributions, or it has submitted its press clearance certificate. Nothing more. We haven't excluded anyone, and that's important to emphasize. We haven't disadvantaged anyone.
The Senegalese Ministry of Communication aims for transparency in its approach. Habibu Dia also announces a tour of the various organizations benefiting from this financial support.
I plan to visit the media outlets that have benefited from the Fund for the Development of Popular Works to check their working conditions and how the funds are being used. I have already prepared my confidential report for my minister.
In a press release published Tuesday night, the Press Employers Association denounced the illegal distribution of press aid and highlighted irregularities in the management of the funds. Meanwhile, the Council of Press Distributors and Publishers of Senegal, SEPS, announced a press conference at noon today, Wednesday, to address what it described as irregularities in the management of the funds.
A report voiced there by Abdullahi Hassan. Now let's turn to Liberia, where President Joseph Boakai has called on the House of Representatives to convene a special sitting of the 55th legislature. In a communication to the Speaker of Parliament, the President proposed a 10-day session from April 9 to April 23, 2026, citing the need for urgent legislative action on key national issues. The request comes just weeks after lawmakers adjourned the first quarter of the third session on March 19, with regular sittings initially set to resume on May 8. WDL's Monrovia correspondent Abraham Parker reports.
Under Article 32B of the Liberian Constitution, the President is empowered to summon the legislature outside its normal calendar to address matters of national importance. At the top of the President's agenda is a proposal to print additional Liberian dollar banknotes, a measure often tied to liquidity management and inflation concerns in the country's cash-based economy. Lawmakers will also deliberate on the 2026 supplementary budget aimed at adjusting government spending to meet evolving fiscal pressures. Robert Haynes, the Director of Press and Public Affairs, confirmed to the President's communication.
The decision to convene the special section follows a formal communication from the legislature indicating the adjournment of the first quarter of the third section of the 55th legislature on the 19th of March 2026. After exhausting all of its work on its agenda. The Speaker of the House, Honorable Richard Nakwe-Kum, has acknowledged the President's communication and has instructed the Office of the Chief Clerk to duly inform the President for subsequent issuance of the proclamation. The lawmakers will be back up Capitol Hill beginning Thursday to work in the interests of the people of Liberia.
According to the President's communication, delaying these issues until May would risk slowing government operations and weakening fiscal responsiveness. Analysts say such added sections are driven by urgent economic needs, particularly in Liberia, where exchange rate and popular expenditure gaps can quickly escalate into broader macroeconomic challenges. For Newslink on WADR, Abraham Parker, Monrovia.
You're listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio live on 94.9 FM in Dakar. Here's a reminder of our top stories. Nigeria's opposition coalition ADC leads a Save Democracy protest at Electoral Commission headquarters. The Gambia suspends non-statutory travel by public officials amid economic pressure. Nigeria and Morocco prepare for the fifth session of their joint Cooperation Commission. And Guinea-Bissau transfer drivers strike over fuel price hikes. And still ahead, we do have the press review, a guest interview, and sports update. Please stay with us.
West Africa Democracy Radio. It's you speaking.
Don't forget, you can listen to us live on our mobile application, WADR, downloaded from the Google and App stores. In the meantime, in Ghana, security officials and city authorities intervened to restore calm at the Ajen Kotoku Onion Market in Accra on Tuesday. The conflict followed a dispute between local vendors and some Nigerian traders over the dispatch of onion loads, which later turned violent. The clash left at least 7 people injured and temporarily disrupted trading, with some onion consignments also delayed as tensions escalated. WDL's Accra correspondent Nadi Dititi reports.
Security has been intensified at the Ajen Kotoku Onion Market following a dispute between traders that turned violent. Police officers have been deployed to maintain order. City authorities engage both sides to prevent further disturbances. The clash, which reportedly involved gunshots, occurred on Monday and is said to have stemmed from disagreements over the dispatch and sale of onion consignments at the market. Some local traders claim attempts by their Nigerian counterparts to offload beyond a specified quantum in the market contributed to the tensions. The situation escalated when some trucks were prevented from offloading, leading to disruptions in supply. The local traders say several Ghana-bound trucks are currently delayed in Nigeria in what they describe as a retaliatory move.
We have a number of cars that are supposed to come per week, but we realize that the number of cars coming is far more, about 3 times the number we expecting. So we decided to take action, that is stopping the cars from offloading. By so doing, the Nigerian called their Nigerian counterparts back at Nigeria to tell them that we've stopped them from offloading their goods. They too take a decision by stopping our cars, our trucks over there from coming. As I'm speaking to you, we'll have about 70 trucks on Nigeria stopping. The goods are there for about a week. These are perishable goods. It's not easy. This is people's livelihood. This is people's properties.
Authorities say discussions are ongoing to address the concerns raised by both sides. The municipal chief executive for Ga West Assembly, John Desmond Nisoa, says steps have been taken to restore calm at the market.
The settlement is both parties should allow each business to carry on. That is, the Ghanaian people should allow the goods to be offloaded, and the Nigerian people should release the Ghanaian trucks. So this is the instruction given. Ministry of Trade also called all parties, and discussion went on smoothly, and there is peace. Directives have been given, so we pray that the coming days should be calm and peaceful.
For WADR, Nadedi Tete, Accra.
This is the newspaper review. Stay abreast and find out what the top stories are in your country.
This is the newspaper review.
The newspaper review.
We head back to Banjul as we join Sang Donamendi for the newspaper review.
Let us start with the Standard newspaper, which is reporting that My Fati says J. Dabo hunting for relevance. Usman Sanko's appeal case progresses. First Lady gets Global Women Award. Under fire, Vice President Jallo apologizes over teachers' salary comment. Let us now turn our attention to the Alkamba Times, which is reporting that the National Water and Electricity Company, NOEC, declares national power crisis in the Gambia. Gambia suspends all non-essential official travel amid global crisis. President Barrow has ordered the immediate suspension of all non-statutory official travel by public officials across the government ministries, departments and agencies. TAF Africa Global embark on a major investment mission in Liberia following President Boakai's invitation. National Council for Civic Education urges Gambians to embrace civic duty and maintain peace during supplementary voter registration. And finally, let us check on Forea newspaper, which is our last stop. Forea is reporting that National Museum is in dilapidated state as lawmakers press government for action. Drivers threaten nationwide strike as fuel price soar. And finally, April is the hottest month, chief meteorologists say amid rising heat concerns. And that does it for this edition of Press Review. Back to you in the studios.
Many thanks, Sang Donamendi there in Banjul.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Our guest this afternoon is Barrister Maurice Ebamba, former executive of the opposition African Democratic Congress, ADC, in Nigeria. It speaks in reaction to the INEC's decision to remove the names of David Mark and Eric Beshola from the ADC leadership list, citing a court order. Some prominent opposition figures have taken to the streets of Abuja in a Save Nigeria Democracy protest against the decision. We'll take a listen to his concerns.
So we are currently at INEC office headquarters in Maitama, and we are here protesting recent involvement of INEC into the ADC activities. In fact, we see it as the hand of a monkey, because INEC has become a support group of APC all of a sudden. Knowing that this INEC chairman, who happens to be Sir of Nigeria, rumors have it that he has also been in the legal council of the APC during 2023 election. So we sense a lot of biasness here and there, and that is why we are now on the street now to protest, because we know that this is the work of APC and Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government, trying to manipulate the affairs of ADC. So before the coalition came to ADC, I must tell you the truth, ADC was not really a very, very popular party, but with the coming of the coalition, it became very, very popular. And after the coming together of coalition leaders, we see that APC and Bola Ahmed Tinubu is actually scared of the impact of ADC.
The INEC decision to remove the names of the ADC chairman and secretary from its portal, it's based on a court order to maintain status quo. How does this implicate INEC's neutrality?
If you say to maintain status quo, what was the status quo before now? This Bala Naf is actually, in fact, let me tell you, he came into the party in 2022 when he wanted to run for governorship. And after the election, seeing Jibril King was in his vision, decided that, okay, he could actually be the Northeast vice chairman. And since then, but when the coalition came in, he actually volunteered to resign. So now, all of a sudden, when APC Tinubu was looking for a crack in the world to get involved in the system, and that is why they manipulated him. He's been manipulated. You understand? Because I am from the old ADC. I'm a member of that NWC, and I can tell with sincerity of purpose, without being biased, everybody decided to resign. You understand? Because before coming now, I knew I was the national leader. It was so hard to sell ADC. That everybody is now ADC. Everybody is now speaking ADC. So it is very, very important that Nigerians should be told the truth. Even as an old ADC member, I will tell you the truth that all of us decided that we're going to step down. So all these people coming to say this and coming to say that are just people that they are just trying to use. That's just the truth about it.
ADC has recommended 21 days notice for its Congress. Has the 21 days notice elapsed before now that you are protesting at INEC headquarters?
Our convention is coming up on the 14th of this month. In fact, if you notice yesterday, some miscreants came up again to say they were the state chairman, that these are former ADC state chairman. They're saying that they are supporting INEC for what they are doing. You don't understand that, one thing about politics, interest. The interest is so pathetic. This is not an ADC fight. This is a Nigerian fight.
Now that these things are happening to the ADC, will it not affect the party's preparedness ahead of the 2027 general election?
It will. I will not lie to you. I don't want to lie to Africans or Nigerians out there. It will, because yesterday some group of elements say that they were the former state chairman and they are protesting. It's so sad that now nobody's talking about the interest of Nigeria. Everybody's talking about their personal interest, the interest of their own pockets. It's something that really breaks my heart. Yeah, it's something that really breaks my heart that I need to also state this thing out that right now, this is not about ADC. This is about the future of Nigeria.
Why, if the INEC does not repost the names of the ADC chairman and secretary on its portal, what would you do?
So there are a lot of theories to it. Nigeria should be worried. Nigeria should be scared. Yes, Nigeria should be worried. Nigeria should be scared. But this is not about ADC.
Marissa Morris Obama is a former executive of the opposition coalition African Democratic Congress in Nigeria. And in sport news, the president of the Confederation of African Football, Patrick Motsepe, is expected in Senegal today, Wednesday. During the visit, he will meet with President Bashir Diomaye Faye and football officials. Talks will focus on the recent Africa Cup of Nations final controversy as CAF moves to address concerns and strengthen ties with Senegalese football authorities. Elsewhere, FIFA has approved goalkeeper Arthur Okonkwo's switch from England to Nigeria. The 24-year-old who represented England at youth level now boasts the Super Eagles' goalkeeping options alongside Stanley Nwabali. The Nigerian Football Federation has welcomed the move as part of efforts to strengthen the squad. And that's it on this edition of Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM Dakar. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Mustafa Sek and Mauluju for the technical support. Let's keep the conversation coming on all of our social media platforms, X, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook at WADR English. Coming up at the bottom of the hour is a repeat broadcast of our flagship gender program 50/50. I am Imo Edit. Good afternoon.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM,
Hilltop Radio 104.7 FM,
and Veritas Radio 102.9 in Banjul, the Gambia. We also appreciate our listeners in Liberia via Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM, Lofa County,
Radio Kagama 94.5 FM, Niba County, DCN Radio 91.3 FM, Riverside County, Radio Gulf FM 91.3 Sierra Leone. In Nigeria on Love 104.5 FM Abuja.
For you listening via Radio Pad 95.1 Damango, Savannah region, and on Royals FM 104.7 Wenchi, Ghana, we say a big thank you. Remember, West Africa Democracy Radio is all about you, your views, and your opinion.